Spread innovative insights.
Scratch knowledge boundaries.
Welcome to the CityU MBA Sharp Forum, where business frontiers unfold.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Let us begin by giving you a warm welcome to the CityU MBA Sharp Forum. We're your hosts tonight. My name is Venus. I'm a first-year MBA student at the City University of Hong Kong.
And my name is Glenn, also a first-year MBA student at City University. We are proud to host tonight's Sharp Forum, and we're glad to have so many of you with us here tonight, and appreciate everyone taking the time out to be here with us. Now, hosted at the City University of Hong Kong, the MBA program has the honor to present to you this forum across our various platforms today: Zoom, YouTube, Facebook, and Voom. Therefore, the Sharp Forum is presented by the organizing committee of the MBA, who are thrilled to welcome you here tonight. In order to kick it off, I'd like to start off with a question. Venus, what comes to your mind when I say the modern working place?
It feels like there are two worlds. One is pre-COVID and one post-COVID. Or should I say one pre-Zoom and one post-Zoom? People try their best to get their work done, but it isn't always easy when they're from home. It has been challenging to manage, especially when you're starting a new job or trying to build a new team culture.
That's right. 2020 has definitely been a year in which businesses transformed and transforming businesses accelerated. Tonight's forum focuses on exploring these topics deeper for businesses. How can they create the next normal, not only for 2021, but also beyond? A future that supports, on the one hand, employee welfare, and on the other hand, takes care of preventing any disruption to the business.
Yes, that's right, Glenn. Even more so, the consulting firm McKinsey estimated that more than 20% of the global workforce could work the majority of their time away from the office, but be just as effective, supported by digitalization and automation technology. It's not a small number, so what does that entail?
That's right. We know that the office has a central role in creating a sense of community amongst the employees, but smart technology means being able to do the same job as diligently and as productive from home, empowering those employees. This could entail for employees, but also for employers, that they need to upskill themselves in certain area, but it brings many advantages with it as well. And in order to delve deeper into these topics here tonight, we invite industry leaders, seated over here, and pioneers to the forum. It's an honor to introduce our guest speakers. Firstly, Mr. Eric Young, founder and honorary president of the Smart City Consortium. Mr. Jordan Kostelac, Asia Pacific Director of Proptech at JLL. Mr. Aaron Yim, Managing Director at Ricoh Hong Kong Limited. And Mr. Guru Balasubramaniam, Head of Operation, Rentokil Initial. Also, on behalf of the MBA office, we thank the RNF Group for sponsoring our event. In order to participate in a lucky draw session, please scan the QR code on the screen, fill in your name and your telephone number right now.
Yes, on your screen you can see a QR code, so please scan this and fill in your information. This will confirm your participation of tonight's lucky draw. So without further ado, let's welcome our first speaker, Mr. Eric Young, the founder of Hong Kong Smart City Consortium, to introduce us to the world of smart workplace. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you very much for the time, for inviting me as one of the panelists. And I think the reason why asking me to be here is because I come from the Smart City Consortium, and we are the one who keeping the advice and also speak a lot in the public for advocating the idea of the smart city since years ago. And I think that's one of the reasons that we found the Smart City Consortium. We try to consolidate many different parties employees, like, Aaron, we know each other for a long time, and like his company, we work together for a long time to provide so many smart options and solutions to the city. But let me start with the introduction first. Thanks to MC the introduction, and I come from Smart City Consortium, and as I mentioned, we are a professional organization that speaking a lot for the smart city. But I wonder, any one of you know why we need to promote the smart city idea or the strategy in the city? Basically, smart city is kind of the strategy that using technology to help us create a better living quality, right? But what kind of problem that we are tackling, And I think we have a lot of challenge. I think let's start with something big first, okay? And we come to today's topic. And for example, we have a lot of urbanization challenge. Like today, when I come to here, I keep blocking in the road, in the middle of road, in the Mongkok, and in many places, and the road congestion is so heavy. And recent years, different cities finding different technology and solution for solving this kind of problem. And actually, that is part of what this kind of smart city technology could help. And also the health problems. I suppose that all of you guys know that since 2 years ago, Hong Kong, we have the centralized health record system, introduced it, and it's really helped a lot for many patients, as well as the convenience for the doctor as well. And also, we are manipulating a lot. We are dealing with a lot of solid waste issue in Hong Kong. And actually, I was one of the committee member of the Sustainable Development Council in Hong Kong. And I really see a lot of technology help us to tackle this kind of waste issue as well in Hong Kong. And also air pollution problem. Hong Kong is definitely a very small places with actually heavy air pollution. But of course, in recent years, we can see the air is better and better. And actually, a lot of technology help us to tackle this kind of issue as well. And last but not least, we are dealing with efficiency issue. And I think today we have a lot of experts here as well for telling you guys that how this kind of technology help us to create a smarter workspace. But all in all, actually, we need a strategy and we need the policy to help us to formulate all this kind of thing. And we need the policy to create the corresponding infrastructure to support this kind of application technology to dealing with this issue. So that is exactly what the Smart City Blueprint for, and that's what our advocacy is. And, Smart city, according to the professor, and we have a lot of area, but of course I'm not going to take into one by one. I don't have enough time today. But as we all know that we have so many segments. But I think according to many research, for many people that smart living technology is one of the issue that people concern most. As actually that is today's topics as well. The smart workspace is part of the smart living. And I think the reason why it is important is because we tackle it every day and we live with it. Actually, I spend the time in my office much more than in my home. But of course, before pandemic, but right now after pandemic, something may change, But no matter what, the way that we're dealing with this kind of technology is changing as well. In the day before, we use the technology-driven way to design this kind of smart city technology or blueprint. And then we change to the government-driven. And nowadays, we are in the era of 3.0. We all know that it is driven by citizens. And that's why today we don't have any government official here. And we all are coming from private sector. And we all know that the best smart city blueprint definitely not come from government. It's actually come from the private company, come from the citizen, and come from all of us. And Hong Kong actually is not doing too bad in the smart city ranking. In terms of ranking in 2020, that means last year, we are ranked number 10 in the old world city in terms of the smart city every kind of aspects. That's 6 aspect according to you. But I can tell that actually we still have a lot of room to improve and doing. But we start the smart city journey for a long time ago. Actually, at that time, maybe in 1998, that time we don't call it smart city, just call it digital 21. I wonder if you are old enough to heard of this term. But since the establishment of the ITB, I mean the Innovation and Technology Bureau, we have started working on this issue. And we found the Smart City Consortium in 2016. And actually, in the same year of when government published their first blueprint, we submitted a 200 pages advisory paper to the government to talk about, from the perspective of the citizen and private sector, to tell them what we need in this city. And actually, luckily, they adopt most of our advice as well. And in last year, the 2.0, the Blueprint 2.0 has come out. And I think it really we need more of this kind of forum or this kind of sharing. And because the reason we need that is because so many experts can share the view and help us to foster the next generation blueprint for the city as well. And I think Hong Kong is committed to a leading smart city, and it really need to be people-centric, and we need to be led by the citizen and by the people instead of simply we follow what government is mentioned. Actually, government don't know what actually the technology is going on and what others this kind of trends going on. Actually, government is not the one who is sensitive enough to the trend. We are. And I think that is, and also the word people-centric means we are tackling the need of the people as well. Because we all know that, as I've mentioned in the first place, smart city is just helping us to improving the quality of life of the citizen. And that's why we have to address the need from the people as well. But we have lots of technology infrastructure we need to build. And actually, that need to be done by the government. I wonder if you guys know that smart city, of course, today, we have so many experts that tackling the application level. Like my friends, around, they have so many solutions tackling from in the application level. But actually, all this kind of application need the support of the corresponding infrastructure. For example, like the electronic identity, like the spatial data infrastructure, like the open data, like the maybe different kind of e-health technology. And actually, all this kind of technology, no one will bother to invest for building this. Only government will do. And that's why we need a complete blueprint to work together with the private and public sector together to build this together. And of course, that's what our advocates as well. We say a lot about the open data and also to build. Finally, we wish that we could have city dashboard for the city as well, for monitoring the whole performance of the smart city as well. And actually, that's done by many cities already. Like if you chance, you can go back to maybe even mainland. There's a lot of cities that already have the city dashboard for their cities already, and it's supported by this kind of infrastructure. Let me quote one example recently, and like the COVID-19, like under the pandemic, we all know that that's really a crisis. We need to integrate all kinds of information together to build that. And basically, we have a project with the government I still remember, in last year, not last year, actually, the year before, since the pandemic, that is still March, already more than 1 year ago, okay? And at that time, the government started alert the issue of the pandemic and find that it will become more and more serious. And it come to us and said, what kind of technology could help to dealing with this? And we give them advice, and we formulate a volunteer team, and we use 2 weeks to build the dashboard for the government. And actually, I wonder you guys know that the dashboard right now, the government using, is actually built by Smart City Consortium. It's built by us, by the volunteer, in 2 weeks of time. And I think this really helped a lot for, at that time, I think until now, for consolidating the information from different government departments. Actually, this data come from let me see, 4 or 5 government departments. In the day before, they didn't have any consolidated dashboard for that. And the reason why we could do this, and let me tell you a secret from the Secretariat Bureau tell me, if the same process need to be done, I mean the same result need to be done by the government, he believes that they will spend months to achieve that because of the procurement procedure, because of the tendering procedure, because of blah, 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 blah. And the most important thing is the government department doesn't work well together. They don't know how to talk to each other. And of course, but at that time, we helped to build the open data infrastructure and do this kind of stuff for them, actually, as a voluntary basis. And so I think that is really kind of work from the public and private sector working together to dealing with the city issue, okay? And, you know, this year is a pandemic year, and it helped actually change a lot. I think one of the key changes, not only from the perspective of the city management, but also from the work management, changed a lot. That's why we need the topic today, the smart workspace, okay? And, you know, this diagram, when I showed that, I think that many of you have seen that before, but I really like this because you can see that there's a perfect sample for us to talk about how this kind of technology is changing our working life. Of course, I don't need to talk a bit into it one by one, but just like your example that especially after the pandemic year, we all have the different way to work. Like today, I still remember the first time I'd be here, I present to all the students, all of them are sitting right in front of me, and right now, I'm talking to the camera, and you are sitting at your home to watch our seminar, but that's good. And it saved us a lot of time for traveling. But of course, we have to adapt to this kind of new experience. And I do really think that this kind of acceleration is a good thing for us to adopt for the adoption of the technology. You know, in many of the traditional organizations I joined, you know, there are so many, I shouldn't say that, but I hope I could say that. So some old and senior guys that with all due respect, and actually they really hate using video conferencing technology before, okay? That is basically impossible to ask those traditional organizations to use this kind of video conference. Oh, you're cheating. Come on, come to see me in your face. But right now, everyone get adopted to this kind of technology. And I think there's a really kind of example that we have to change. And I believe that this kind of change will continue and will be accelerated. And I believe the following speaker will be the best one, people who are going to tell you what kind of change is happening in coming. But of course, no matter what, how technology is changing or how it's going on, I think the key and the goal that we are going to achieve is still creating a better life for us, okay? And I think that it really need to be done by, we call 4P, by the public, private, and people partnership, okay? That we all have to hold our hand together and to work it out together. Together with the private sector, with the public, I mean the government, as well as with the people, that mean the user, and then we partner together to create a better life. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Young. Fascinating to hear how many stakeholders are involved in the creation of a smart city, what the place of Hong Kong is, and thank you for providing a couple of real-life examples in light of that.
So for our next section, it's my pleasure to introduce Mr. Gordon Kostelac, the Asia Pacific Director, Proptech of JLL, to tell us more about his experience on how smart technologies has made a difference for his organization and his customers.
Thank you. First off, thank you, Eric. My suit allergy is kicking in. I don't wear suits much these days, so it's nice to have someone dressed a little bit casually as well. So I appreciate that help there. My name is Jordan Kostelac, as I mentioned before. My job title is Director of Proptech for JLL. And so I don't want to talk about myself too much, but I want to kind of explain what that means and give some context about, as we come down from the city level that Eric looked at, what does that mean about how a whole of a building is managed? Here in Hong Kong, we have the greatest number of what's considered or classified as a skyscraper than any other place in the world. And not by a little bit. It's by about 1,000 buildings than the next biggest city. JLL, many of you might know as a property brokerage, but here in Hong Kong, the biggest part of our business is actually our property management service. We manage over 500 buildings here in Hong Kong. Not a day goes by that I don't run into one of my colleagues, but we don't actually know each other. So understanding that, I want to zoom in a little bit and look at how we are looking at things, the changes we're seeing at what we call the asset level. In our business, the word asset refers usually to these physical structures, to buildings. And my job, Director of Proptech, is really kind of a market-facing title. Any other place I would be called Director of Innovation, something like that. What I do is I look at the technology that's available and see how that can improve the way that we perform our jobs across all the different things that JLO does. So, when we get into it, see if this thing clicks through here. Nope. There we go. So, what we're looking at is, what does the future of real estate look like? I don't want to talk too much about the office and the impacts of the pandemic because that's been such a big part of the conversation. It's part of a shared experience that we all have, so my opinion is simply that. So what I'm going to talk you through is sustainability, what we're considering, what we're really looking at in that sphere, workplace health and wellness, but I'm going to move through these three first parts pretty quickly, human experience as well, and then talk about what that looks like in the form of technology. So I'm not here to read to you each of these slides, but I'll pause for a second so you can take a look at this. There's two key stats that I think are really important, and those are the ones here on the right side here. So 89% of employees at companies support well-being initiatives are likely to recommend their company. What does that really mean? Well, what we're saying is if you have genuine health and wellness programs, you're really supporting health and wellness. Not just letting a yoga teacher come in once a month. That's not a wellness program. But actually having that in the DNA of your organization, that's when people start saying, oh, you're at your desk 15 hours a day. My company, like we have actually at JLL, we have a 700 square foot gym in our office. So whenever I have those really long conference calls where I say 2 sentences on these 2-hour calls. I say, Jordan's on the line, and then about 2 hours later I go, thanks everyone, and that's my entire conference call, right? I can actually go down, I can get on the elliptical, I can move a little bit, and I can still participate, but I don't have to do it sitting in one place, kind of harming myself, or at least not doing anything. And what's important in my world is this one right here. The World Economic Forum in 2018 estimated that 52% of all labor hours will be performed by machines instead of by humans by 2025. Every major analysis of this has said that it's been sped up in the last few months. When we're talking about this, though, everyone, I don't like that I put a picture of a robot here. I love this robot. I work with this robot. When it doesn't have the whole outfit on, it kind of looks like Wall-E, so I think it's really cute. But we're not talking about physical robots. We're talking about some of the roles that some of you might be considering going into. This is not a physical robot going around. This is automation of business processes. That's how those labor hours break down. So very quickly, what do we look at the asset level when it comes to sustainability? Well, in all of these categories, I'm going to talk about sort of 3 classifications. What is foundational? So what is it you should have today if you are an asset holder? What is differentiating? What will set you apart from what you should have? And what's a leadership position? What's really putting you ahead? This is when we get back into Eric's territory. When are you really in smart as opposed to just, yeah, that's kind of nice to have, right? So again, not here to read everything to you, But when we talk about sustainability, really this is the big one right here. Future-proof against legislation. A lot of plans, a lot of legislation uses 2030 as a big mark, especially around sustainability and climate change issues. So in Singapore, for example, there are stringent energy consumption requirements for 2030. So as an asset holder, you need to make sure you're already prepping to meet those. We're talking about overhauling your mechanical, your electrical, your plumbing systems. That's millions of dollars. And so these are things you should be preparing for. So that's the first one to really point out. What differentiates what you should be doing, these three things up here, is really landlord being a partner. So the best landlords are partnering with their occupiers. And so I know when Aaron comes up, he'll talk about what a smart workplace looks like. When we look at sustainability in the workplace, all the recycling efforts your company does doesn't mean anything if when the building managers take it, they dump it all into one bin. The landlord has to act as a partner, not just in agreement, but in process. But what does a leadership position look like? It's really right here. It's net zero emissions. But I just mentioned that recycling example. Net zero emissions is something we can all say and do a magical calculation in a spreadsheet. What people are really looking for now is a clear demonstration. I'll give you some examples when we get to the technology section. Workplace health and wellness. Remember that statistic I said before, 76% would recommend their employer if it's a sincere effort, right? So what are we talking about here? How can an asset support that? Well, first one, sensible HR and operating practices, right? At an asset level, that's not really much of an issue on the surface. You think, well, owning the building, what does that have to do with this? But it comes back to what we do at JLL. So I mentioned before that I have lots of colleagues I meet every day and we don't even know we're colleagues. Sensible HR and operating practices, we were calling people frontline workers, and even in the US using words like heroes, right? We have a lot of my colleagues are there making sure the building is safe for you, right? And that puts them at risk. And so making sure that, the old number of hours that they might be working may not be acceptable the way that it was before. Making sure we're minimizing their actual contact, things like that. That is health and wellness. Like I said, not a yoga night once a month, right? How do we differentiate? Well, there's certifications that have surfaced, right? So we have WELL, and most of you have probably heard of LEED. WELL is the health and wellness answer to LEED. It's a objectively measured, assessed certification. I'll come back to that, but WELL at an asset level is very hard to achieve, and leadership is looking at it at a portfolio level. And now, that's when I will shamelessly plug JLL, because our JLL Shanghai office had the world's highest LEED rating for occupied space. And we were the first one in Asia to get WELL Platinum certification, the highest rating you can get. The JLL Hong Kong office, which is close to my heart because before I took this job, I did the workplace strategy for this. So I was highly involved with the development of this office. I fought very hard for a gym. I used to weigh about 20 pounds more, and then we got a free gym, so it was easier. And that one is LEED Platinum and WELL Platinum as well. But at JLL, any new build has to at least meet some level of WELL and LEED certification. It's very expensive to do everything platinum. We're trying to be pragmatic about it, but we're making sure that we achieve those across our portfolio. Now, human experience in the asset world. Human experience is really new to the world of assets, to an actual building. And the reason is we don't expect much as people using a building. We want it to keep us dry, right? Somewhat comfortable, safe. We want to know it's a little secure. And health has come to the front of our mind now, right? We don't think about it. We don't think about it as much as we think about it. And what do I mean by that? Have any of you walked into a building recently that didn't have a temperature scanner out front? Are you sure? Do you check for a temperature scanner when you walk in? Some people are nodding yes, but other people you can see, oh, you know what, I'm not sure. We don't actually expect much of buildings. But human experience is surfacing to become a responsibility not just of your employer, but the people who either manage or own that asset. So in the case of JLL, we manage the asset on behalf of the asset holder. And so we have to start looking at things like this. Provide end-of-trip facilities to support work-life integration. Now, if 76% of people would recommend their employer if they supported health and wellness programs, that can be very simple sometimes. At JLL, we have a gym, so we have to have showers. So what we don't have anymore is executive lavatories. It's kind of a thing of the past. Providing end-of-trip facilities is now getting to the building level. We're starting to see property developers provide ad hoc access to things like showers. Why do you want to shower? It's because you might want to ride your bike to work. Not here in Hong Kong, especially on the island, but in other places, you might want to ride your bike to work or get to work in a way that you probably want to shower before you go into the office. Or at least your colleagues want you to shower before you go into the office. How do you differentiate? Well, this one's really interesting too because curated food and beverage to differentiate. It used to be simple enough, whoever will pay the rent will put the restaurant and things in. More and more, developers are looking at curating their food and beverage to differentiate from their surrounding competitors, from the surrounding offerings, try and keep people in their buildings. You hear this term referred to as placemaking. How do you turn the asset in the surrounding area based on who occupies it into a destination or at least a place that people stay? But this is coming in the form of even doing things like partnering or creating what we call cloud or dark kitchens to improve the level of varieties, but also allow different food operations to come in and out and refresh that whole thing more frequently. So, and what's the leadership position look like? Well, it's really right here. And this I'll get into with the technology section. Connected physical and digital approach. If you asked me 5 years ago, hey, Jordan, how many steps did you take yesterday? I would have said, do you think I was counting, you psychopath? Now, I can click through. Also, I know I have 5 minutes left because my watch is set for that. Today, I have taken 7,826 steps. I, as a human being, should not know that, but almost all of us do, right? This is what I mean when I said before that people have higher expectations. Simply saying you're net zero is not enough. The connected digital and physical approach means that people need to be able to access non-confidential information whenever they want. I should be able to know not that it's not too hot or too cold in here. I should be able to interact with the building to know exactly what the temperature is. That's what we're getting to know what the energy consumption levels are, right? We're seeing really interesting application of this in places like where our Shanghai office is. There's actually a leaderboard in the building to show who's using the least amount of energy. So it's kind of a race to the bottom in a really nice way. But I'm here to talk about technology. So I'm going to show you a very short video.
Good morning, Amy. Where would you like to work today?
The office. What's the weather like today?
The temperature is 18 degrees with a 57% chance of rain. Are you ready to start your day?
Give me 10 minutes.
Okay. How would you like to get there?
I'll walk.
Do you want to ride?
No, I'm good.
Thank you. Careful, Amy. Obstacle ahead. Nearly there. Good time, Amy.
Good morning, Amy. Welcome to JLL. You have one message from William Douglas.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Your first meeting is at 10:30. Please proceed to the elevators. Have a good day.
And you.
Lisa is in today. Lunch?
Good for me.
Invite sent. Have you seen the latest report?
No.
Your coffee will be ready in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Thank you.
Tip sent. This building uses sensors to make your day more productive. Need a desk?
Maybe later.
Sure. How's the temperature?
It's fine.
Ready to start your meeting with Eloise Dupont?
I am indeed.
I'll let her know.
Bonjour Amy, ça va?
Bonjour, Eloise. Hold on.
Auto-translating.
Vous avez vérifié le document que je vous ai envoyé?
Yeah, all looks great. Thanks very much. Au revoir.
Bonne journée, au revoir, merci.
Are you happy to share your building usage data today? Have a great evening, Amy.
All right, put an extra 2 minutes on the clock there for me. Look, everything about that video is already in our hands. Most of it's being served through our mobile devices. But I just told you how many steps I've taken today from a little wristwatch, right? It's talking to my phone right there. Glasses are coming, but a lot of these AR technologies, and I'm going to show you a really cool one that I'm quite proud of, they're already here. So what technologies are going into the building to create that workplace? Which, by the way, I'm not entirely sure that's the way we want our world to work, right? We don't want everything in our lives to completely overlap. I don't want email in my face when I get out of bed first thing in the morning. Also, I don't know who wakes up at 8:30 in the morning. This is so late. But foundational technology you should have right now, the biggest one here seems so basic, but very few asset holders take care of it. Having a cloud strategy, making sure that the building's data, all of the data, I'm going to show you a really cool example, but all of the data is actually being stored and organized somewhere safe and secure, not just locally on the site. How do you differentiate? Tenant KPI analytics, that's what I was talking about before. Those heads-up displays you see in the video, being able to understand what the environment is actually like, down to the temperature, down to the humidity, down to the energy consumption, all that's really important. But a leadership position, is properties as data generators. So I'm going to show you one last one. I actually have a few more slides, but I can wrap up right after this one because this is the important one. So hopefully, this right here is an augmented reality system that we're using to perform routine inspection and maintenance tasks in the buildings that we manage. This is Infinitus Plaza. Most of you know it. What that does is take the most boring work in all of JLL. The most boring work are the people that have to walk around and check things or clean toilets, right? But because we put it into this AR interface, them doing their job captures an image every time they do it. And that image trains these systems to start doing their job for them. Now, are we trying to replace our workforce? Not at all. What's really cool about the way these systems work is you can see on here, pretty simple, pretty easy to follow. You get on-screen directions, just like Google Maps, but for how to do a job. So if you need to do something new, all you have to do is select that action, and follow the instructions on screen. And every time you do that, you learn how to do new skills. So you don't have this person doing the inspections. They're not just a teacher, they're a student at the same time. Same thing is true here. We can put this technology into people's hands to help them learn and identify. So you don't have student-teacher, you have student-teacher working together. We say man and machine or human and machine working side by side to create a better environment. This is taking processes we have to do and turning a building into a data generator. And that's really the key when we get down from a smart cities level down to the asset level, how to start making the city, the place that we are, smarter. You can't have a smart city with dumb buildings. Thank you very much. I'm going to pass it back now.
Thank you, Mr. Kostelac. That was an interesting outlook into the future, talking more about the relationship that human beings have with their building and considering buildings as assets to an organization.
Okay, so let's welcome our next speaker, Mr. Aaron Yim. He's the Managing Director of Ricoh Hong Kong, who are at the very heart introducing more smart workplaces in Hong Kong. Topics such as remote connectivities, business process optimization, and an accelerated adoption of digital workplace as a result of pandemic is where Ricohs are experts. Let us hear from Aaron.
Thank you. There's been a lot of numbers, right? So I saw Eric's presentation had mentioned about SDG. I got SDG there. So that's about like 14 goals, right? And established by WHO. And then we also heard a lot of numbers like 2030, right? There will be a very smart office or smart way of working. I saw a lot of numbers there. Remember that numbers indicate something. So when I try to present, it's also a lot of numbers there. But I will not go into detail of each of them. But obviously, and when you see the number, probably you know that the trend is here already. We don't have to wait until 2030 or 2050. Let's see. Okay, I come from Ricoh. Today there's no advertising about Ricoh. I hope that you learn it later on when you search Ricoh in the website. I talk a lot about the future workplace. I study quite a bit about the trend as well. There's a study about 10 latest trend of future workplace. Part of it very related to our business. And we are actually on the business for supporting our client to become adapting to the future. There's 5 things. Number 1, AI, okay? Artificial intelligence, and that helps a lot for us in terms of automation, for prediction, for analytics. So we rely a lot of that to give us more accurate data to do more accurate work. Next one will be cloud technology. This one is actually a lot of our work, promoting cloud adoption. We try to get this so that people can use it with minimum cost to achieve the digital transformation. Third one, IoT. We heard a lot from the previous speaker to talk about Internet of Things. We also use a lot of this to support clients. That help us to be a lot more connected and informed. So with all the informed, connected information, then we can make better decisions. And that helps us to improve our life as well. The other one is about process automation. I think Jordan had mentioned a little bit about that. When they talk about not just automating human, but he was talking about not just the physical robot. We talk about robotic process automation, RPA. And we're also in the business to support clients to do automation in their office to streamline their workflow and technologies. Last one is about mobile technology. So these 5 major key changes or development will change a lot of our life, both in business and at home as well. But the important thing of making digital transformation success, we need the culture. Now that we talk about this 4th generation work together in an office, right? The baby boomer, right? Some of the office Lee Ka-sing is still going to the office, so this is actually including those transitionalists, the baby boomer like us, and then the Generation X, the Generation Y, the millennials. They all work in the office. So what Eric mentioned about the old guy, respectful old guys, right? That's like me. Is on the left-hand side, right? All the culture, the thinking, they believe the company, the culture belong to the owner. They don't belong to themselves. And they work silos. They want partitions. They want office, right? They measure the size of the office to measure the ranking, the grading, right? They're being trained. They're being trained to do something, and they're also being communicated. They're being talked to. And they normally tend to follow rules, as is the older generation. But this generation, these people need to work with other culture. The millennials, what they do, they are very self-motivated, right? They've thought that culture owned by everyone. They want to be participative. They want to be collaborative. They want to learn themselves at their own pace. They learn anytime, anywhere, not sitting in a classroom to be trained. But they also want to be engaged, not just being communicated. They want to participate, and they want changes. They're easily embracing change. So how these two cultures work together when we talk about digital transformation is hard. So our consultant help our customer to also look at culture, how do they change their culture to adapt to digital transformation? And this is the critical part. It's hard. The technology part is easy, right? There's a lot of people who know the technology. But how to make the people adapt to it and work together to achieve the digital transformation. So there's also, other than the culture need to be changed, I think there's also a business context they have to recognize that they will be in, and which is very different. And this day, the priority of the business is not about just achieving the top line and bottom line. With this crisis happen every now and then in the last 30 years, running a business in a context is a lot more difficult to manage. Like, we have to ensure the continuity, sustainability, and we have to ensure the employee safety, productivity, and make sure that we do have productive workforce. How to maintain business performance at the same time to enrich the customer experience, what we call the CX, right? So how to balance these two so that we are able to respond faster to customer, make them happy all the time so that you maintain your competitive advantage. But that have to make within a very short period of time. And this is also assisted by digital transformation because the context, as I said, had changed. So let me show you a video about what Ricoh talked about, how to integrate all this offering to our customer on to improve their workplace.
Every company begins with a single order. That order then creates more orders, more proposals, and more staff. Ricoh's document management solutions were pivotal in the growth of many companies. Today, Ricoh's businesses in Hong Kong have drastically expanded from office printers to providing smart solutions to entire workplaces. This is all to achieve a single goal: to take your business to greater heights. Advancing into the new digital age, Ricoh provides services in 3 major domains. Smart Workplace. We provide a one-stop solution for planning, design, and renovation services, with bespoke technologies that optimizes the workplace, ensuring your business stays efficient and effective. Smart Process. We help automate workflows of repetitive tasks and documentations, improving overall resource efficiency and productivity. Smart Technology. And documentations, improving overall resource efficiency and productivity. Smart Technology. Our devices are fully digitalized that can integrate with 5G networks and the Internet of Things. Through utilizing technologies such as cloud, AI, and big data, we facilitate day-to-day work and boost productivity. Ricoh, as a dedicated ideal, reimagined workplace for you and your staff to thrive. The experts at Ricoh Hong Kong offer a plethora of smart solutions by leveraging their skills and experiences, fostering the growth of many companies for over 50 years, making Ricoh the most trusted workplace expert.
Sorry, all video are advertising video. Okay, anyway, we talk about Street Smart. So I'm going to share with you about how these Street Smart work in future office, which is no matter you use Ricoh or not, but you obviously you should look into that to support your organization in the digital transformation. Number one is about cloud adoption. I've been seeing a very fast change of cloud adoption in these 2 years because of pandemic, the COVID-19. Before this, when we talk about cloud to customer, a lot of people reject it because of security, because of a lot of other reasons. They didn't want to talk about it. But these days, everybody rely on that now because they no longer have to work in the same premises. So cloud actually can help to improve productivity, enhance the growth of the company because it make them more efficient, more adapt, respond to customer a lot faster. But on the other hand, they have to reduce costs, particularly the IT costs. When people move all their server onto the cloud, which is kind of like pay as you go, rather than investing on all this complicated infrastructure, it helps them to be a lot more flexible and a lot more responsive to the new technology. So moving cloud to cloud become a latest trend. So you haven't have done anything like that, please do consider. If you are the management team of an organization, think about it. Take away all the objection from the traditionalists or the baby boomers, right, and see how the younger generation how they like to work in anywhere, anytime, any device and any content. That's what that's up there. So one of our case, very simple, a solicitor firm, they employ our solution on using a file sync because they do have Hong Kong and China office and also multiple offices in Hong Kong. So they want to have a standard place to store the file that they are working on. So having the version control backup solution, make sure the file can be obtained anytime, anywhere, in any places by anybody. So that they encourage more what we call collaboration among the members, so that they share the knowledge, they share the opinion within the document itself. It helps them to be more what we call work in line and also be a lot more productive rather than using the old traditional way of working. Again, it's also very much encrypted, protected, and very secure solution this day for cloud, simply like file sync and backup solution. A company employ this and use it. Second case is like manage the cloud services. This is a very big, one of the biggest public utility in Hong Kong. They found difficulty to communicate with the staff all over different places in Hong Kong. So in the old days, when they have urgency message, when they have the urgent or crisis thing that they have to manage, it's hard for them to communicate one to everyone. So that is the solution. We have them put on like electronic content, centralized content management on the cloud, which is they can manage, change the content, and then broadcast to their user anytime, anywhere, so that people can get this instant and the fastest information at a very short period of time. And then they can all have the standard and unify the content. And it has been helping them to communicate better to their employee. Okay, the other trend that I have observed from the future office is about IoT adoption. I guess Eric and Jordan had talked a lot about it. They talk about how IoT work in a smart office, right? A future office in 2020 is a lot of IoT there. The IoT actually capture data, analyze, process data, analyze it, show it like a dashboard, give people visualizations of the situation so that things can improve and monitor and control remotely, right? So that they can have the best environment either for health and safety or for energy conservation, right? Which is I talk about like SDG stuff or ESG these days. So IoT become a lot more common these days for that particular work, which is, I think, I don't need to talk too much about this. I think the previous speaker had talked about how an IoT-enabled workplace could be done. The video about 2030 basically showed that all technology are here, except a little bit about how fast like 5G deployed in an office, such that the things can be well monitored and controlled like instantly and seamlessly. So with this kind of IoT-enabled office, people can be, with employee and visitor and partner will be able to have a very pleasant places to work, right? It can be a virtual reception to assign them to some places to work, ensure temperature are fitting to the need of this client, and the facility are being ordered remotely, or temperature being controlled and monitored intelligently. So making a pleasant place that people come here to focus on, not those facilities, but on creativity. But that is how this important thing of IoT is to release people to be more creative, collaborative, rather than working on the facility, like fixing the projector, take a lot of time, right? If we have a single sign-on interactive whiteboard to help you to do all this collaboration, and that will be marvelous. Another use case is an engineering company who have been using our solution on different work area, different workplace, like in reception. There's a virtual reception supporting them. There's a smart device monitoring services to help them to monitor their temperature, lighting systems, and also the facility, like room booking, all this facility. So the last one that I talk about will be like smart process, which is two things. Number one is workflow automation, which is our specialties. We work on document for many years. So with hard document, people gradually turn into digital document. So they need a document management solution. That is number one and number two, where they try to digitize the document and then organize it. But further on, after they have organized our document, they will thinking about how to change the process of the way that they process the document. So there's also talking about automate the process. After they automate it, they know each KPI or performance of each process, then they will think about whether they should reorganize it because they found out some of the bottleneck, found out some of the inefficient process or redundancy process. So they will do streamlining. And also then we try to automate some of it by transforming some of the operations. So this is what we call a transition of workflow automation starting from digitization. So this is a simple chart to show how human work with robot. When we talk about robot, it's not physical robot, right? We talk about all this bot, which can be exchanging information between human when they call agent or a sales agent, talk to a client. They can always get the robot to respond, analyze information, pass back to the staff concerned to feed them all enough information or decision so that they can end the task intelligently in a shorter period of time. So this is what we call smart process with robot. So the last one that I'll talk about is about RPA. What we call about RPA is kind of like robotic process automation, which has become a very popular trend this day in an office because, as we said, people try to make their employee to become a lot more productive. So the first thing that they need to do is about how to get rid of this repetitive, redundant work that people do every day. So RPA was introduced about like 4 or 5 years ago when a few major players come into this to introduce this idea. So this idea is try to use actually small process, analyze it, and then try to using what they call the intelligent capturing, auto-filling. There's a lot of technology in terms of using it by automating some of the very boring, repetitive work. So in fact, this is some of the statistics there. About 20%, right? I say in Hong Kong, actually more than 20%. Each employee in an office actually spend on the very repetitive work, like even searching documents, filling forms, handling applications, handling shipping documents, sorting out invoice versus the payment. All these things, actually a lot of repetitive work involved. I guess Hong Kong is about like at least 30 to 40% of the work on that. So imagine actually if people adopt automation, it will be able to help them to save millions and millions of dollars. So we do have a case about a property development and management office. I'm not sure it's JLL or no, it's not property developer. But it's a property management company. They do receive a lot of invoice from different vendors, like fixing a light bulb or fixing a pipe. So they do have a lot of invoice coming from different service providers. Look, it's complicated to manage a property. So they have to sort out all this invoice matching with the PO, right? And the purchase order they issue out. It's a very lengthy process. In Hong Kong, it's still a lot of that. It are actually manual. So in fact, they do have a problem of having about like 20 people working on this every month, every day, to sort this out. So with this robotic process automation, by automatically, after they scan the invoice coming in, they're automatically pulling information out, checking with the database, matching with it, fitting into a AP system, and then automatically going to prepare checks for payment. So actually, there's no more mistake made. All right? You know, whenever involving human, there's always a cause of mistake. So with this, actually reduce a lot of cause of mistakes as well. So in fact, they have reduced the headcount from 20 to 3. There's a lot of money, right? Imagine how much it costs one employee in Hong Kong this day. So efficiency, accuracy, and so that I'm sure they will get their vendor happier. But once they get their vendor happier, I'm sure the price of that will eventually going down when they are able to pay their partner quick and accurate enough. So that's just a brief introduction. Remember I talked about 3 things, right? The adoption of smart office. The 3 things like cloud, IoT, and RPA is something that I still believe is very achievable and very useful for an organization to think about it. Your next move. Don't have to think about like 2035. It could be just this year, right? Come and talk to us if you need any idea. Thank you very much for the time. Thank you much for the organization.
Thank you, Mr. Yim. And thank you for sharing your view on the adoption of digitalization and automation technology in companies from your market-leading perspective. Very interesting. Also a little bit around generational diversity, so thank you for that.
Yeah, shall I invite Mr. Guru Balasubramaniam to share how digitalization and optimization technology benefit Rentokil Initial and the challenges they face during this transformation. He takes the leadership of China Technical and Operation Excellence team. Let us invite Mr. Guru.
Thank you very much. Before I start, though, I don't think I've ever heard someone say my name that fast without making mistakes. Well done on that. So welcome, everyone. Very interesting night, hearing a lot of opportunities for us as well. So I'll be speaking to some of you after this. My name is Guru. I'm from the Netherlands, and I work with Rentokil Initial. I think some of you might have seen our vans going around, or unfortunately would have seen some of us, so that you needed to call us on site. We work a lot with Ricoh as well, so I'll be sharing some of the things of what we're doing in our workplace to improve processes, make it automation and digitalize it, and all of that what you just heard. Before that, though, we will do a little bit of a promotion. So if we can go to the video. just to sort of understand what Rentokil.
From evolving technology to rapid population growth, our world presents new challenges every day. As the global leader in pest control and hygiene services, we continually redefine the boundaries of these industries. For over 90 years, we've been at the forefront of innovation, developing groundbreaking solutions that protect people and enhance lives. Our worldwide experience spans a multitude of environments and industries, allowing us to provide our customers with informed support, whether it's analysing data produced by our cutting-edge technology or monitoring pest behaviour and trends at our Global Science Centre. Our insights continue to expand our expertise. This means that our solutions are always advancing, helping you to solve the problems of today and overcome the challenges of tomorrow. Thanks to this innovative approach, we're able to support the well-being of your employees and customers and the protection of your brand. Expertise, service, innovation. Rentokil Initial. Protecting people, enhancing lives. Innovation. Rentokil Initial. Protecting people, enhancing lives.
Gotta give compliments to the marketing team. That really looks really good. If you think of what we do, in a nutshell, we do pest control and hygiene services. So if you think back in the days, that's a person that goes on site checking rodent bait stations to see if they captured mice, and also providing floor mats to customers daily going in and out. So it's very basic work. It's a basic need as well to provide to customers so that they can continue their work without any issue. As you've seen in the video as well, innovation has been key to us globally, not just on our core services, but also on what we do in the back office. Because you can't do innovate one, and then go back in the office and do everything on manual and paperwork. It's sort of counterproductive. So one of the things that we do, this was already a little bit in the video, so I'll sort of skip through it as well, is globally, we really try to get a lot of data from across the countries on pest behaviors so that we can also analyze how our pests are evolving. Because as humans, also our pest behavior, they sort of go along with the changes in the environment, and they have different kind of behaviors. So we also have to adapt to that and provide continuously new solutions. Some of the solutions that you've actually seen in the video around connectivity of bait stations and fly killers that actually can count how many flies that have been captured, they're already available. So this is not 2020, 2030, 2040. This is actually now available in Hong Kong as well. And it provides us so much insights on how we can do our service better and service our customers. From an initial, this you definitely must have seen, especially in 2020. Hand sanitizer, hand hygiene has been key to all the businesses, and it will continue to be key. And our solutions around that as well is around tracking hand hygiene behavior of customers so that you can see where your problem lies. It may not be, I think nowadays everybody washes their hands. Everybody will be having like dry hands of moisturizers of all the alcohol that we're using. But it's focusing on that as well a lot, on how to change customers' behavior. What do they do? What kind of type of sanitizer do people prefer? What is good for the skin? So there's a lot of innovation happening around this area and connecting it back to the customer. Linking it back around well-being and air quality as well, because we know that the current COVID a lot of it is around airborne, and there's a lot of regulations coming out on making it, tracking the air quality, and a lot of our solutions are targeting around that to kill the virus in the air from a touch point, and also from an air point and touch point as well. That was the video. Now let's go back to our nitty-gritty stuff, because yes, we do core innovation, not core service. That's things that I just discussed. But if you think of workplace solutions, I think Aaron was quite generous when he said Hong Kong does 20-30% of on paperwork. I think that's much, much higher in Hong Kong. I've never used checks before I came to Hong Kong, and in Hong Kong I'm using checkbook after checkbook. So we do a lot of it on paper in Hong Kong, and one of the solutions, and Ricoh has helped us a lot to go through that journey of digitalizing documentation, changing your process, automating, and actually now we're doing RPA. And one of that solution is, if you think of it very simply, from an invoicing point, if we send a customer an invoice, he wants to see a docket saying, oh, I want to know that you visited the site. And that's a paper docket that our technicians, our frontline staff carry around, and they get a stamp from the customer, goes back to the office, and then in the office we have a bunch of people that go through which docket goes to which invoice. Very tedious and very manual job. And we had more than 10 people in the office doing that actually. Thanks to Ricoh and Laserfish, not just promotion, but really, it was really helpful. We've cut that down by just making an automated solution that matches an invoice with a docket based on what's in there. So before you do that, you first have to digitalize the documents, and then you start matching them. Nowadays, it doesn't take us, there is no manpower required. The only thing that the person in the staff in the office does is take the whole download from one system and plugs it in the system so that it can match. So there's no manpower required at the moment. We're taking it one step further, is actually removing the docket itself by having something that we call Pest Connect, where instead of walking around with paper dockets, our technician is walking around with a phone where they can fill in all the recommendations as well from customer sites, and that gets sent directly back to the head office, where it automatically creates a document electronically or paper-wise, depending on what the customer wants, and match to an invoice. So we're really enhancing this. Other way around. We really enhance that process and reduce the manual work for not just at the back office where they're matching the documents, but also where we are creating documents. So from the source as well, to make it digital to begin with. The reason is it's obvious for us all. We all know why we need to get rid of manual labor work like this that is transactional and doesn't add necessarily value. Because that 10 people that I had, it doesn't mean I've let go of them. I'm using them on different places where they can add value. Chasing customers' debt, for example. But it's always going to be challenged, because still the question is, why are we not doing it? What is the reason that stops us? And in all fairness to our staff is, we want change, we want innovation, and we want everything to do, but do we provide enough support, time, and incentives to the staff to actually have time to change? Most of the time, no. We want them to do it all, plus do the workload they do normally, without overtime, because they're not getting paid, so it's difficult. So you need to provide that as a support. The other thing is that, I like the expression that a robot or RPA only does what you tell him to do, but if you tell it to do rubbish, it will do rubbish. There's a different phrase for that, which I won't use because I'm on video, but it only tells you what to do. It does what you tell it to do. So you need to make sure that your own basic processes are right, and that the systems that you currently have in place are actually speaking to each other. It's not just the government department that doesn't speak to each other, it's our own systems that have difficulties with that. And then from finance, I used to be a finance director, so I know what I'm speaking about is that from a finance point of view, costing. Because sometimes you just tend to look at the cost on a short-term basis, saying, yes, I need to look at the P&L of this year, I need to look at the balance sheet of this year. We need to think further than that. The investment we made in Ricoh and Laserfish 5 years ago, it's already doubled back up a long time. You can still reduce my ongoing cost if you want to, but so this is just a snapshot of it, but it's quite simple and straightforward. It's not fancy, it's uploading documents from one to another. But a lot of the solution that we've seen is barcoding for example, on a customer site on our dockets, on our stations, scanning it in. Those are solutions that we are doing as well on our core solutions. And one of the things that JLL just mentioned on their customer sites, how to basically record the movements, that is something that I think we will be very much interested in to apply as well. So from leaders around here, people are watching, don't ever think you're done optimizing your process. There is always ways to improve our process continuously and change along with the way the world changes. And this is what I just all said in a snapshot on the workflow, so you can read about it later. But from a benefit point of view, is one of the things that we had is really reduced our receivable days and increased the correctness, because I think someone mentioned as well, is like when you type things back into the system, you get errors, there will be human errors that you reduce. You're reducing processing time and having meaningful work that you can add back to it instead of transactional stuff. I think that's one of the last thing I would like to end as well, is like, there was a lot that we get back from it. And one thing I've learned is like, over the past years here, there has been many transformation, digital focus workshops that we're seeing, but 2020 sort of accelerated all of that. And I think we need to sort of grasp this momentum and push things forward. And especially with key industrial leaders, with Smart City and JLL, I think a lot of the work we do with JLL and work together on how we get there. I think I'm well within my time, so thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Balasubramaniam. There I go. I fixed myself. I wasn't aware either that there were going to be 2 Dutch people over here tonight, so it's a pleasure. I want to make a quick reminder as well. Thank you, Mr. Quick reminder around the raffle. So we have the QR code in the bottom right corner, as you can see right now, for all those online. And it's going to go offline over the next couple of seconds. So if you haven't signed up yet, there's great prizes to win. Put in your phone number, put in your name, and you will automatically join. Now, for the final section of our forum, we will have a panel discussion. For this, we would like to invite our moderator of the night, Mr. Eric Young, who will lead a discussion on the opportunities and some of the challenges around smart workplace, bringing 3 key speakers' points of view together, namely technology, Hong Kong governance, and the business domain. So please give a round of applause to Eric. We would also like to invite, again, Mr. Jordan Kostelac. Thank you. Mr. Aaron Yim. And Mr. Guru Balasubramaniam, back to the stage for the panel discussion. Better this time, huh?
Yes. Well, I'd like to highlight quickly that there will be a separate section for the Q&A to take place after the panel discussion. So in case of any thoughts, ideas, remarks, questions, please take them down and preserve them after the panel discussions. So thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, gentlemen, please take a seat. So again, my MC time right now. So thank you very much. I suppose that today we will have a very fruitful panel before, but of course there's Q&A time. So for all of you, welcome to ask any question to our gentlemen here on stage. So of course, as I'm the MC, I have the first right to ask some questions first, because we have some, I think probably we could start with some discussion first, and then I will pass the mic to the floor, maybe have some question from the floor as well. And I think the first question, and actually, that really, actually remind me from the presentation of our, right now, times really change, things really change a lot after the era of pandemic, from the first time, from the day before, that people don't believe in cloud because of their security issue or maybe different kind of issue. And right now, people starting to believe in that and start to adopting this kind of new technology. And I think, really, the security and safety issue is always a concern lately, okay? So do you guys think that this kind of security and safety issue will be a hurdle for us to adopting this kind of smart workspace technology? Any experience that you can share with you guys? Or maybe will your own company will have the similar consideration when you're adopting this kind of technology? Maybe Jordan first? Yeah.
I think when we're talking about security, if we're talking about information security, I think in the past it was the responsibility of the organization to really secure all the information. But everyone should really have their own sort of personal data security plan, information security plan to not just protect their own personal information, but in the world of a mobile workforce. If we truly are going to be a mobile workforce, people need to know, I mean, something as simple as don't leave your laptop sitting out when you go to the restroom at the coffee shop, right? It was the kind of thing. So if we're looking at it from an information security standpoint, it's really just conditioning people's behaviors to know what to do, to know how to be smart about not just their information, but also vulnerabilities to information from their company and especially their clients. I think especially for us, when we manage at JLL, we're managing these huge multinational companies. If we talk about security, if security breaks down at our level, that can cause massive implications if you say you get into a bank or something like that. So it's really, I think, an awareness thing, first and foremost, and that's where it starts. It used to be, hey, this is the responsibility of the organization. Now I think it's very much an individual responsibility.
Yeah, totally agree. I think JL is already one of the pioneers in this area. It's really, yeah. So anything add from Aaron?
Well, I think security is always a very natural objection when we talk about cloud in the old days. A lot of company or the business owner, or not just the IT head. Business owner always worry about the assets being hacked or being stolen by somebody. So they believe when the things are out of their premises, it is not secure. All right. So when it's talking about putting on cloud, so then say, then it will not
very
be
traditional
secure.
Yeah.
But I think our answer this day is to all these business owners is no matter how much money they have, if they have to invest on security solution for their on-premise on-premise infrastructure, it will be endless money and nightmare because you will never be able to catch up with what the hacker could do. So, in fact, the cloud solution provider, actually had the best expertise and, of course, at their best interest to protect the assets that they are being held by them. So this is something that I talk to the owner is, okay, if you have to invest yourself all the time, why don't you just put it there and leave that to the expert who are able to do a better job than you, right? As a only company that hold your on-premise solution. So that's one thing. Second thing is about the investment. Now this day, all about talk about return on investment. And we tell them, okay, actually the better return on investment is you have a agile solution. On-premise solution will never be agile. Once you want to change it, it will be a very difficult solution. I mean, time and money to change. But cloud, if you don't like this provider and you thought the other provider provide better service, then you can always migrate, move. So it kind of like pay-as-you-go situation that obviously will be a best return on investment for some of the business owners. So I think now this day they probably understand more about this. So security-wise, I think they put less emphasis these days. well, the money come back quicker, of course they would be convinced to do that.
Yes, Aaron make a very important point right now. This kind of subscription model really help those companies could have more flexibility for their choices as well. So how about Guru? Any point to add?
I mean, it's right on both ends, I think, especially cloud. Probably one of the reasons why cloud was an increase in 2020 is because it was a necessity. With the working from home, the restrictions on working outside and working from home, accessing data was crucial for employees, and the only way around it, I think companies are realizing it's cloud. And security has always been an objective on cloud to say, oh, we can't do it because it's not secure, but how secure is if you leave your laptop somewhere or if you leave your phone is just as bad, right? So creating awareness in-house on segregating the data to know which ones are the level of risk and managing the risk of a potential data breach, but also making sure that you have a right partner who does the security for you. I think that's those two are the ones that how to bridge that security issue that people have with cloud.
So, according to the gentleman, I think the security and the safety issue right now in recent years are pretty much manageable, I would say in this way. Of course, still a concern, but manageable. So, what is the next hurdle, or what kind of limitation you see in recent years that we are going to face for creating this kind of smart workspace? So, any thought from you guys?
Well, I think you were noted in the first place is we talk a very big game about wanting to let people explore and try things.
Yeah.
But as soon as they do, it's like, oh no, get back to work. Get back to what you're supposed to be doing.
Agree.
Simply giving people permission to experiment with new technologies and with new ways of doing things is not enough. Like we see in right now in Tokyo, a lot of employers are incentivizing people to leave work at a certain time. They're giving them bonuses to leave work, right? Because we're learning that having a fresher mind, having a clearer mind for 6 hours a day is far more productive than staring into space for 15 hours a day. And so this is where I think I come from a workplace strategy background before I did this job, and you can design everything to work a certain way, and all it takes is a quick breakdown. I'll give you a really great example. There's a big multinational bank that was one of my workplace strategy clients. And the space was designed that everyone could move about and collaborate and work freely. But people ended up being less productive because on one floor, one small group of people, a middle manager said, I want everyone sitting in a particular place. And by putting them in that one place, it didn't allow anyone else to be mobile. And so, it takes one bad apple to spoil the bunch is the phrase we might use. But if it's simply permission, or if it's not sort of explicitly prescribed, it doesn't really work well. And we see good examples of this, like Google used to have a policy where you could allocate 20% of your time to explore things outside of the organization. They don't still have that policy, but they still allow people a little leeway to actually try to explore things. And I think a little piece of advice I can give everyone is don't start with your job, start with your personal life. Start using Siri to try to automate certain processes. I hope she didn't hear me. Learn how to use anything like IFTTT or Apple shortcuts to start just making small automations in your own life, because that will help wire your brain to start to see what's broken. Because the biggest issue, whether it's any of our companies, I guarantee you, having not spent a day working for their companies, we all have the same challenge when it comes to modernizing our processes. We simply want to digitalize each step of the process. But the real formula, the right formula, what I tried to show you with our inspection process is to strip the entire process back and see what best technology gets rid of as many steps as possible, rather than simply adding that digital layer. And so that's where you can practice that by trying to do that with things you do in your own life.
Yeah, I agree with Jordan. I think the first thing we need to get rid of is the 996 we call, is it? 996 working lifestyle in China, or initiative in China. I just heard it from the news. There is a proposal to stopping this kind of, becoming a law to stopping this kind of 996 work life. I think probably that would be a good idea as well. So anything from gentlemen as well?
Yeah, I think it's what Jordan mentioned as well, and creating that innovation environment, that culture in your work and in your personal life. And if you think of innovation, people expect innovation just to be top down.
Yeah.
It's not anymore.
Agree.
The person who will know the most of his job is you yourself. You know how to do things better, but then give them the time, the support, the culture, when to think differently. And when they come up with an idea, the first thing you say is, oh, no time, no money, no cost, no budget. That shouldn't be the first response. So enabling that whole culture of coming up with new ideas and actually give them the empowerment to actually change their own work, that is crucial. And that takes time. That's not like an immediate switch. It takes time and support from all layers of the business. Because I can say it, but if then my middle management decides not to, it never filters down.
Agree. So let me ask Aaron a question, because as a leading service provider, and I really like you to maybe tell us what would your smart workspace or this kind of technology help us to transform, maybe in terms of the organization, maybe the HR planning or the business process. How would that change us?
I would just want to respond to the previous question first, before I answer that question.
Of course.
I think no matter what transformation, no matter you're talking about digital transformations or culture transformations, I think the most important things that I think Guru in his presentation had mentioned that a little bit is about change management. How to managing the change is something that we cannot underestimate. Changing the habit of a people who have been there for so many years is a tough job. So how to organize a company to form a change management committee from the bottom, right, as what Guru said, from the bottom, from the one who are able to commit and make ground changes and influence the other people to do it, is one of the very important work that lead to invest. I think this one is we have gone through a lot of projects with our clients. Something that stops us move forward is the resistance from staff. I've been seeing a lot of fallback decision by the CEO, MD, just because his secretary doesn't like it. Yeah. And they say, oh, okay.
She must be pretty.
I'm not kidding, but that happened. It's just because of someone not like it. So I think how to start, how to plan and work through it, the change management is very important in any changes, particularly when we talk about digital transformation. I think Guru probably have much better experience when he's implement a lot of those work. The question that you asked is about in our experience and how we can support client to transform successfully in terms of digital. I think one of the advice that we give all our clients is start with small projects. Okay, I've seen a lot of ambitious CEO had talked about big changes, right? Enterprise-wise, we want that, things like that. So a middle level manager will try to follow that and try to get through it, get all the resources focused on making all these big changes. And normally, it's either financially not justified when they come up after the feasibility, they say, or resistance come back very quickly. So my advice to a lot of organizations is start with someone who really need to change, right? So normally we ask customers to start with HR because it impacts some people but not critical process, right? A lot of people are involved but not to the life and death
Yeah.
of operation. So HR would be a good to start. And then the finance would be another one because they are very document heavy. Okay? So that would be the two operations that we suggest clients to look into it, make some initial success, and then it will be gradually, they will get the benefit and then gradually will be moving forward into other operations. think
I
that's the
see.
experience.
I see. Interesting question. Really aroused me. That okay. So today we have so many great picture that we have drawn from you all that for a smarter workspace, and I especially like the video that from Jordan. And actually, do you think that maybe in future, after this kind of life that we got used to the remote office issue, and we can already work from home due to the availability of the cloud services of this kind of mobile technology. So do you guys think that we still need an office in future? Maybe I heard that some company, they already accept all the staff work full time at home already. So what do you guys think?
Workplace ready.
Yeah.
Look, everyone's crystal ball gazing on exactly that issue, but I don't know any more than you do. And what I will say is, to Aaron's point, it's not a leadership breakdown that causes regression from, we know the right step forward is to allow people to work more flexibly. But we also have seen over the last year that tips into the fact that it's not work from home, it's your work is in your home. And that's not healthy either, right? So that imbalance needs to be corrected and addressed. We need to rethink that. But all it takes is one middle manager who just decides they want to see and look over your shoulder to say you have to be in the office. And the company policy may mean you're flexible, but what about, when these guys graduate, they want to impress somebody. They want to, they're reporting to someone, and it's a very difficult thing. Like I'm notorious for being a huge pain in the ass in the company, but I'm the exception. A lot of people won't voice their opinions, and so that's where do we need an office in the future? Absolutely. And the reason I know that is because I work with colleagues all over Asia. I cannot tell you how many are happy to be terrible to me when we've only had a discussion by email, right? But then they get on the phone, it's, oh, hey, how you doing? It's like, wait, did you read that email that you just sent me? We need, we talk about human connection like it's this ethereal thing, but we need to be in the presence of a person. I don't know if it's some spiritual thing or something, but we need to feel someone's energy, right? Okay. Because all of a sudden, our efforts feel like true collaboration when we feel that person's energy. So we need a physical place to be there. And to be honest with you, Aaron made the point in his presentation about seeing video conferencing being more widely adopted. But there's also new research out this week that says it triggers our flight or fright mechanism. Like our instincts react to the fact that we're staring at other people in the eyes, right? And to be honest with you, we all liked it a bit, but we all hate it now. We do. And so you're going to need that rebalancing of personal. This is an absolute joy for me right now to actually be in the presence of people. I love to publicly speak, but I hate doing Zoom webinars and things. Sorry to everyone at home. Hi.
Sorry.
We wish you were here, but no, being in the presence of people is irreplaceable. But what we won't need are seas of desk. That is, this is my desk, this is where I have to be from this time to this time. That, which should have been rebalanced 10 years ago, absolutely has been sped up exponentially over the past year. Yeah. So we're going to need it, but it's going to be more distributed, and it's definitely going to be a more hybrid and flexible scenario.
I agree. So I also see Guru keep shaking your head. So what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, the fact that we even do Zoom, can sit with, oh, there goes my flower. You can actually sit and speak to someone, and To your question, I think, do we need an office?
Yeah.
Yes, but the concept of an office is different, has changed, and that will be different for depending on your type of company, depending on what kind of country, and you as a person, what kind of work you're in. That's definitely will change. Has changed already, but I don't think that the current way we've done 2020 working from home has answered any of the needs that we need as an employer, being in an organization, being with people, interacting with people. 2020 was basically our way of testing it and realizing this is not how we want to do it. How should we then do it now? That's where that needs to go. But yeah, we will need an office.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'd just add too that we're talking to a group of MBA students. Most of them do not have the luxury of an office and can still be productive. It's so strange to me we cross that threshold from student to employee, and now we can't be trusted to just work somewhere else, right? Like that's, so I think I'm glad to see that changing, even if it's slower than it probably should be.
Agree. Okay. So, Aaron?
We don't call it office anymore. We call it workplace, right? So the definition of office changing, as what Guru mentioned. I think the workplace will not disappear, but the size of it will become a lot smaller. There have been a lot of study about why people still need to go to the workplace and to get together, right? Let's put it that way. A place that people want to get together for what purposes? And I think majority of that is for two purposes, people said, studies it. One is for collaboration and creation. You can't do it without a very interactive, collaborative environment to create something, right? So when someone needs to do creation or collaboration among the member, they have to be in the workplace physically. Second one is about socialization, right? A place that to give the people had a chance to socialize, to relax, to talk, to discuss, to feel that you are still a human, that you can interact with a human. So a place for socialization is also important. So for that two particular purposes, the size of an office is actually does not need to be too big because it's become less frequent that people need to do so.
Good. So I think my privilege time has been ended. So I have to pass the time to the floor. I saw that many questions already pop up immediately in my iPad. So maybe the first question, let's come to the privilege for the floor first. So any ladies or gentlemen would like to ask question? Oh, okay, I see a gentleman from the end, right? From the, yeah, please help me to pass the mic first. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Panda from MBA. Thank you very much for coming to the forum to share with us. I have a question for Jordan. For the four elements that you mentioned about the sustainability, workplace, health and wellness, human experience and technology, which one you think is the most important to build up our future workplace?
So for you, like my advice to you as students, focus on health and wellness individually. Focus on, not having a perfect routine, but being aware of when you're performing your best and then what you did before that. Because we're sort of conditioned, using, Eric talked about 996, right? That doing tedious work means work ethic, or that it means you're contributing more. That's not the case. Like, I will stop in the middle of my day and play video games for like an hour. I will. I will just stop, and because I just need to get out of that headspace. Like, you never hear these great stories of inspiration in the world of business. So like, I was sitting in my cubicle, then all of a sudden, like, I had this great idea. It's always, I was going for a walk. I was doing this and it hit me, right? So figuring out how to sort of figure out when your wiring is a bit too tight mentally, right? Or I like to say, I get brain fog, right? Like, usually brain fog comes because I've had too late a night with clients or something, but figure out what causes brain fog, what really slows you down to the point you can't even send an email like the way you want to, and figure out what injects the most energy, whether it's creative or productive, just focused energy, and duplicate that, but harness that for yourself first. Because like anything in the business world, sitting back quietly and waiting for it just never come. And so that's like, practice that yourself. And then just to follow up on the wider question, sustainability is far and away the most important. There's a strong case to be made that climate change has a lot to do with the fact that we're all wearing masks, that they're closely related. And so sustainability is the most important that we all share. But for you as an individual, focus on what makes a good wellness routine that contributes to your productivity. Because as I said before, 4 good hours is still way better than 12 pointless hours. Because all you are is sort of anxious the next day about how little you did with so much time. So learn how to focus and channel your energy. You'll be massively more effective. I wish I'd learned it 15 years ago.
Okay. So my iPad keep reminding me I'm out of time. So let me take one more question from online. And I saw that one of our students online that asked a question. I think this question is good for Aaron to answer. And we all come from big company, right? And he has asked us whether this kind of smart workspace is suitable for small scale business like the SME. What do you think?
Well, I think absolutely. In fact, I think majority of our clients are SMB clients. Like what I mentioned about the free adoption. Remember that, like for example, like cloud, is actually a lot more economical for a SMB to go for cloud solution. Right? As I said, the pay-as-you-go model, right? Less investment. In fact, and a lot of small companies actually do not have good security measures, both on infrastructure as well as information security measures. But by putting this into a cloud solution provider, they absolutely get better protected. Right? I've seen a lot of customers come to us and ask for help because they got ransomware. And ask us to help them to get away from it and put them into a better solution. So as I said, this is absolutely important for SMB. RPA, robotic automation, also for SMB is particularly important. As I mentioned, a lot of SMB actually use a lot of labor rather than automation, right? Because they thought automation take a rainfall approach to develop a system, change it, and then, help them to become automated. But robotics start with small. As I said, it start with small process, which can be very easy to implement, short implementation time, and they can prove success, they can roll on. So the point I make is very good for SMB to adopt technology for smart workplace.
So cool. The first thing you would like to find more solution, you can go to Ricoh as well, especially for SME. So let me ask Guru one more question from the online student. And apart from the training, how did your company help employee to better adapt to the new working system? Apart from training, yeah. Very tricky question.
Apart from training.
So everything is about training, but
well, so what I mentioned was the support function, right? And and the culture. So training is definitely necessary if you're doing a new system.
Agree.
But it's also the culture of doing something new and change management. Creating that culture is a lot about letting them feel empowered that their contribution is valued and that this whole change is for their benefit. So getting that whole change management process is I think, very crucial to that. Training is one bit of the change management process. The other thing is transparency, communication, why we're doing this, what happens with the data that's been used, what has it been used for, so that you can overcome any kind of fear people have. We're not collecting data to see what you're doing at what time of the day. We're trying to see how we can improve things. But then if you then misuse the data to say, hey, why are you doing this and this time, then that trust is gone as well. So having this uniform change management or innovation culture and then stick to that culture every day in, day out, that's important, I think.
Great. So, I think that today is really such a fruitful panel, but I'm really sorry that we have limited time, and and we have to let all of you go to dinner as well. But really, I'm really my honor and pleasure to be here to facilitate this panel, and I'm very sure that we will see again, and especially we work together for the smarter workspace and smarter city. Okay, thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Let's hear it one more time for our panel, please. Great. We would also like to thank our sponsor, RNF Group, in particular, in supporting Sharp Forum and creating more platforms for knowledge sharing and making an impact on the world. We'd like to give you a personal introduction of the RNF Group, through one of their latest projects in the UK around their property development activities. So here we go. Thank you to the RNF Group. This brings us to the end.
Glenn, you forgot the most exciting part of tonight. Do you remember what's that?
Huh?
That's the lucky draw. Now it's lucky draw time.
Okay.
So let me hear you make some noise. Yes. Louder. I said let me hear you make some noise. That's better. So after all of you have registered online through the QR code or the link, now we'll use the automatic generator to have a prize winner. So we'll have the software up here. So let's wait a moment, and our staff, Edwin, will help us draw the prize tonight. So let me introduce the prize tonight. So we have 4 prizes in total. We'll have 2 HomePod Mini, 1 AirPod Pro, and the biggest gift will be 1 iPad Air. So anyone want to have that?
I would.
Yeah, I also want to have that. Oh, so let's see.
We'll just take a moment to get everything set up. And one more time, thank you very much to the RNF Group for making this night possible. And here we go for the first item, which is the HomePod Mini.
Yeah, so for the HomePod Mini, we have 1 black and 1 white. So let's draw our first winner. Oh, so congratulations, Kat. We will have our committee to contact you after the forum. So for the next prize is also a HomePod Mini. So Edwin, please. Oh, congratulations, Yuna. So we'll contact you later. Bye.
And we'll use the details provided in the Google Sheets for that. And continuing, we've got the AirPods Pro. So in that sense, let's see who's the winner of the AirPods Pro. We'll just try that one more time. In the meantime, Venus, what do you think of tonight so far?
I think that's great. I love it so much. What do you think?
I love listening to the speakers.
Yeah, me too.
Definitely. One of the interesting things of tonight that we've seen so far, I think, is a multitude of perspectives of different organizations coming together, talking about the future of Hong Kong, the city that we live in at the moment. One of the other things, what is the other thing that we've seen, Venus?
I think it's great for all of us that have all the pioneers here tonight. And it's a great chance for us networking with each other. So let's grab this chance after the forum to have a chat with all of our guests.
That's right. So after the forum, feel free to stick around for a little bit so we have a moment to catch up with all of the speakers and get to know all of you individually as well.
Yeah, catch a chance. Okay.
Okay, it seems like we're good to go for the AirPods Pro this time. This is the test round. First the test. It's the AirPods Pro this time. Okay, here we go for the AirPods Pro. For the HomePod Mini this time. Jojo!
Whoa, Jojo! Yeah, shall we invite you on the stage? So we'll give you... Yeah, Jojo. Shall we invite you on the stage?
Congratulations.
Yeah. Let's look
Well
at-
done.
Thank you.
All right, next up for our second HomePod of the night. Fiona.
So we'll contact you later.
Congratulations. And then moving on to the AirPods Pro.
It's Learn Hawaii. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
And the final prize
What is the final prize? What do we have?
is an iPad Air. Oh my God.
An iPad Air?
Yes, I want to
Wow.
have that.
Okay. For the iPad Air.
We're having time, Wingsy.
Congratulations.
Yeah, so ladies and gentlemen, it's with a heavy heart to say that we're approaching the end of the night, and we'd like to thank all speakers for their incredible contributions tonight and for making our knowledge sharing possible.
Now, before we end the forum, as a token of appreciation to the speakers, we would like to present them with some souvenirs. So at this moment, we'd like to invite Professor Kevin Chang,
Please
CityU MBA Director, to come to the stage and help us present the souvenirs to the speakers.
Yeah, please give a big round of applause to Professor Chang.
Next, we'd like to invite Mr. Jordan Kostelac to the stage. Thank you very much for your contribution.
So, Mr. Aaron Yim, please. Thank you for sharing tonight. Okay.
Next up, we've got Mr. Guru Balasubramaniam. Please step forward. Great. Also, would like to extend our deep gratitude to our mentor, Mr. Cam, who has been a critical factor to our team's success. May I invite Mr. Cam on the stage, and on behalf of the organizing committee, a big thank you to our advisors and all the MBA staff supporting this sharp forum. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cam. Thank you for all your support. Please wait for a moment. We do have a gift for you. So please. Thank you. Thank you, Professor
Thank
Chain.
you.
Also, we would like to thank MBA Office for your great support throughout the forum. Professor Chain, Stephanie Ng, Circle Juan, everyone engaged a lot to make this forum possible and fruitful. So, ladies and gentlemen, before we end, we would like to thank you for our sponsor, the R&F Group, for the lucky draw gifts tonight. Also, please help us fill out the post-event survey. So you can see the QR code at the bottom right corner.
Yeah, your feedback is greatly valued, and we hope that our forum tonight has been educative, has been enlightening, and mostly thought-provoking on how the smart workplace will shape our near future and is shaping our lives in Hong Kong today. We'd like to invite everyone to join our networking session, which will take place in the back of this room right here.
Finally, we would like to thank you who has joined us here tonight. We hope that you thoroughly enjoy our forum, which wouldn't have been possible without our amazing organizing committee for the dedication and effort. Let's meet our team. So let's have all our committee members on stage.
Come on stage.
Come on stage.
Everyone.
Yeah, everyone. Yeah, so let's meet our team. Thank you, everyone. And we would also like to invite our guest speaker, the MBA office team, to come up to the stage for the photo taking section.
Please come together. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
This brings us to the end of our night. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you.